Hey, everybody, it's Ron Johnson, and this is the Ron Johnson Show on Locked On Sports Minnesota. We got a 9-2 Minnesota Vikings team, but the Gophers, they lost to Penn State. But you know what? It doesn't matter because our oars are in the water. We're headed to Wisconsin, and we'll talk about this matchup and how I know the Gophers can win. But if this happens, we'll talk about all that and much more coming up next on the Ron Johnson Show.
Locked On Sports Minnesota podcast. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. Now the Ron Johnson Show. On the field, in the broadcast booth, Ron Johnson is Minnesota sports. He's played with them, hung out with them, and grown up with all the big names in Minnesota sports. They're hanging out with Ron Johnson. It's the Ron Johnson Show on the Locked On Sports Minnesota podcast. And it starts now.
Hey, everybody, it's Ron Johnson, and it's a beautiful Tuesday. We are short days away from Thanksgiving feast. I cannot wait. Happy Thanksgiving to those that we don't get to say it to this week. I hope that if this is your listen for the week, I want you to know that it's okay to have the beans, greens, potatoes, turkey, ham, whatever you want, sweet potatoes. Do it all. And you know the desserts. You got to have the dessert. So hopefully if this is your listen for the week, again, thank you for listening and have a great Thanksgiving from us at Locked On. I'm Ron Johnson. This is the Ron Johnson Show. We're here every week, people. And usually we have a nice little guest for us, but there's so much sports to talk about. We gotta digest this. And as I bring my producer to the show, Sam Ekstrom, I want everybody to know today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Just place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. Just visit FanDuel.com to get started. And normally the easy way to get started is we help you guys out on Fridays with a couple easy bets that are going to hit. And my Aaron Jones one hit. My Justin Jefferson one, I did not realize the Bears. I should have listened to Spice Adams. He told me that the Bears were going to take Justin Jefferson away. And I just didn't believe it. I'm like, how do you do that? Well, we figured that out. But make sure you guys also know that you can find all of our postcasts after every Vikings and Gophers game, as well as the Wolves, the Wild, our team hosts with Luke Inman. They're bringing you all the great. And you know what? This Black Friday, you guys will be out shopping. Do your shopping on Black Friday. Enjoy your deals. I've already done some stuff. I can't put it out. Well, you know what? My wife is not going to see this one. I've already done something, and it's not for her because it's for me. She tells me don't shop for yourself before Christmas at this point. Like once Black Friday hits or Thanksgiving week hits, no more buying stuff for yourself. I hate to say it, people. Jordan had a sale on golf shoes, Sam. I had to get them. Like $230 Jordan golf shoes, Sam. Like $100 off. That doesn't happen often. Like that does not happen often to get like 50 plus. It was like, I think I got them for like 120 or something. So it was like 54% off. When you have to do it. Even if I return them, I'm like, look, this is a Black Friday sale that never happens with Jordan golf shoes. And I bought a pair last year. They were super comfortable. And so I'm like, you know what? I need another pair. One, because I'm a matchy person, Sam, and I like to match shoes. And so the ones I had got were the original Space Jams. And the colors are just like, I can't wear like blue with them because they're black, white, and red. So the ones I just got are gray and white. So now those can be like my blue shorts with my white shirt or my, like it's going to have the match. I can do the gray shorts with the blue shirt because the Jordan spikes are just gray and white. I think it's the 11s or the 12s. I'm not sure which number these are, but super excited. So I did place that order. They'll be here Wednesday. But Sam, looking at the Bears Vikes takeaways, let's jump into this quick before we jump over to the Gophers. We'll probably be a little bit shorter today on the Daily 3 as well, just because we gotta dive into this. But Sam, my first takeaway, when I look at that Bears Vikings game, Sam, is the Vikings have to stop turning the ball over and you brought this stat up on the first possession of the game. I think it's like 9 since 2022 or something.
9 since 2023. So two seasons.
Oh my goodness.
9 times.
Yeah, so they got to stop turning the ball over. And I think you said the next closest team was like 6 or something like that.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, because that's a killer. And it works against the Bears. It works against some of these other teams to do it. But also, let's think about a couple years ago when the Vikings started off hot and then turnovers started to kill them. And we are like, what is going on with this team? Like you had the Alexander Madison, then you had the Josh Oliver, then you had the CJ. Of all people, you're like, oh, there's no way CJ Ham fumbles on the first. What? Yep, CJ Ham just fumbled. And so, interception. Like, so there's so much that we could talk about of how this can hurt a team. Sam, when this team has 22 takeaways and the giveaways are what's killing you. I gotta see, like, Sam, I don't think it's sustainable. Do you think it's sustainable at this clip of giving the ball away to win these like tight, really good team games?
No, I mean, the first drive turnovers, it's not as if you're turning it over at midfield. Like on a number of occasions, you are getting into scoring territory and then choking it away. You're at the 1 yard line. Aaron Jones fumbles, red zone interceptions. Last week in, I think, Tennessee, the pitch that went badly. You're taking points off the board for yourself, whether it's 3, whether it's 7. And I feel like the Vikings takeaways on defense have slowed down a little bit as well. They're not, taking it away 3-4 times like they were for a period of time. So it's the next 5 of the next 6 games run against winning teams. You're not going to be able to get away with that too much longer.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like when you look at turnovers, you look at issues. And here's the other one that to go with the Bears, I don't know if there's going to be another quarterback as good as Caleb Williams that can throw and run. Kyler Murray, we know, can run. On the throwing side of it, not as good, not as bad though. I mean, like you look at where he's at. The one thing I will say about Kyler Murray, because he does run, he doesn't throw the ball away a lot. Like he doesn't give it away to the other team. He only has 6 interceptions this season. He has 4 interceptions this season. But he's only been sacked 20 times. And the reason for that, of course, is because he's elusive. His QBR is higher than Sam Darnold, and it's because of his ability to run, because they put pressures. How do you get out of pressure? How do what is the expected outcome versus the actual outcome? And a lot of times when he's getting pressure, you don't expect nothing of it, and he makes a play. His 98 passer rating, of course, because Sam Darnold's 101.7. The rushing is where he takes over. 7.9 yards per rush right now for Kyler Murray. You look at first quarter for both teams. This is where it's going to have to be a clean game against the Cardinals, even though they're 6-5 and they're, because at service, if you're saying, oh, the Vikings at 9-2 are playing the 6-5 Cardinals, people might be like, oh yeah, okay, this is an easy one. It's not easy. This team is tied for first in their division. So one, their division's cannibalizing each other a little bit, but their first quarter, Sam, the only difference between them and the Vikings is the number of punts. They punted the ball 11 times in the first quarter, the Vikings 4. They both have 9 touchdowns, 78 to 88 passes. Here's the big kicker. Vikings have fumbled the ball 4 times, Cardinals once. Like they're not turning the ball over. 5.3 yards per play to the Vikings 5.6, 30.8% to 31.4, which is basically the same thing of converting first downs or touchdowns. Like, so whether it's on first down, second down, or whatever, they are moving the sticks in the first quarter. And then again, their turnovers in the first quarter are 0.5. It's not even 1%, 0.5% of their plays, whereas the Vikings are 3.1. They're giving the ball away way too much. And so this is one of those games that both teams are going to start off fast. You look at the red zone, Kyler Murray, 66% completions in the red zone, to Sam Darnold, 70. 9 touchdowns in the red zone, and this is where he eclipsed them. Sam Darnold has 16, but 0 interceptions for Kyler Murray in the red zone because he's willing to run, whereas Sam Darnold has 4. Kyler Murray's red zone passer rating, 117.8 to Sam Darnold's 86.3. That's actually pretty bad. 86.3 passer rating in the red zone compared to the rest of the game where he's at 120.5. It worries me a little bit. And so when you look at this Bears team, we know the Bears team overall, there are some issues they had. But again, I called it on our show, I think, or on the football party. that I thought this was going to be, or maybe it was even Friday, that this was going to be a Kyler Murray, or sorry, a Caleb Williams breakout game. I felt like he was going to have a big game and throw for 300 yards. Like I just saw it coming with the way the offensive coordinator on the pregame show. I also said it. I was like, hey, if you think about the coordinators, Thomas Brown versus Shane Waldron didn't even know Keenan Allen was on the team. I said Thomas Brown, being of similar age, he was born in 1986. I think Keenan Allen was born in like 1992. So similar, younger age. He kind of, he was playing around the time when Keenan Allen was coming up through the league. And then he saw him play. And so he knows Keenan Allen. He's seen him play. He's like, man, this guy, I know this guy's good. We got to get this guy the ball. It's like having, and I say Keenan Allen is Reggie Wayne, but imagine getting Reggie Wayne later in his career. You're still going to try to get Reggie Wayne the ball. Like you're not going to forget about him because you got DJ Moore and Rome Odunze. And that's what I feel like Shane Waldron was doing. It's like, oh, we got this first-round draft pick. We got this young guy and DJ Moore. I don't really know how to scheme. We got Cole Kmet tight end. I don't know how to scheme anything for Keenan Allen. Thomas Brown's like, watch this. And he literally just said, I am going to get the ball to my most consistent, my most level-headed, my least emotional, because we know DJ Moore has been emotional with a lot of like throwing his hands up when he doesn't get the ball, walking off the field when it doesn't go his way. And he targeted Keenan Allen on third down 6 times, 6 passes to Keenan Allen on third down. Keenan Allen was 5 for 6. He caught 5 out of the 6 passes thrown to him on third down. He almost had a huge play, if not for his toenail being a little bit too long on the white. That also happened to the Ravens, we know, to start the season, I guess, against the Chiefs. Likely had his toes were a little bit too big. If he had a size 12.5 instead of a 13, it's a touchdown. Same goes for Keenan Allen. If he has a size maybe 11 instead of a 12, it's a big catch. And so I think this is going to be moving forward for Caleb Williams, where his coaches kind of give him a heads up. Hey, look, you got Keenan Allen on this route. Keep an eye on this. Keenan Allen understands the system. Like I even broke it down in the pregame show of plays where the receiver is literally pointing to the guy that might blitz off the edge, and Caleb Williams does nothing to account for that. There's the middle of the field is wide open because they sent 6 guys. All he had to do was change his route to a hot route and run a slant, and he'd be running for days. He runs an out, other guy runs an out and go, other guy runs a wheel route. And it's like they're all standing in the same spot. So Thomas Brown is using more of the Sean McVay stuff with corner routes, motions. And the Vikings just, again, ran into a team that didn't put the quarterback on the field that we needed. I don't know if I want to face Kyler Murray because of his ability to scramble. We saw what happened with Caleb Williams scrambling. And that's what's crazy. So that was the other takeaway I had, is that Caleb Williams' ability to scramble and still throw the ball down the field, whether it was DBs not thinking the pass was going to be thrown, or guys being in the wrong position, that was a little bit worrisome too. Like because like, again, the Cardinals don't have the weapons the Bears have, but they do have Kyler Murray. And that's one takeaway I had too, is like Caleb Williams finding ways to keep the play going. Cause I was sick of seeing this little, like I've never, I guess I don't watch a lot of them. So I didn't know that was his little, I just made a big play celebration. It looks super weird. Like, I don't know if he's bowling or what he's doing. But that worried me, Sim. I don't know. What were your thoughts on containing the quarterback before we jump over to the next segment?
Yeah, well, I mean, they got the Bears this time, but I feel like I'm going to be scared of Caleb Williams twice a year for the next however many years. Like, I think that's a real legitimate threat at quarterback that you're going to have to deal with for the foreseeable future. And I don't know if the Vikings did anything wrong in trying to contain him. I think he's just uncontainable. I mean, I don't know if he's Lamar at this point, but he is slippery. He is elusive, and Kyler's going to offer the same type of challenge. I don't know if the Vikings spies quite did the job that they were supposed to do in that game. There were a few key third downs where you just can't let Caleb get outside the pocket like that, get outside the numbers. So Kyler scares me too. I mean, the Vikings have had, they've handled him a couple times in the past. So I feel all right about this game. Cardinals had no offense to speak of on Sunday in Seattle. So I'm not maybe that intimidated, but I think that the elusiveness is always a problem. And, Kyler's having a good year. He's been reducing the mistakes. And if they play mistake-free football, the Cardinals could absolutely win.
Yeah, and the Bears did what they do, which if you look at week 1, they gave up no explosives. Week 2, they gave up one receiver, which is 135 yards, Nico Collins. My guess is they probably said, we're taking Stephon Diggs out of this. You look at week 6, Evan Ingram, 10 catches, 102 yards. That was it, tight end. Week 8, Terry McLaurin, 5 for 125. Rest of the guys, nothing. And then you look at week 11, Christian Watson. And also, if you watch that, he only had 4 catches, 150 yards. But if you watch that back, it was some blown plays in that too and some missed tackles. But Christian Watson had a big game. But again, nobody else. The Vikings did something no other offense did to the Bears, which is 2 100-yard guys and a third 100-yard back. Because as far as offense for the Bears, they had one time they actually rushed for 100 yards, which is DeAndre Swift, 129 yards. That hasn't, like, again, they might go this whole season with not another 100-yard rushing game because their rushing does not look great. But as far as running backs, Jonathan Taylor, which we know he's one of the best in the league, 110 yards and 2 touchdowns in week 3. And then James Conner, 18 carries, 107 yards. So again, to give up a 100-yard running back, 100-yard tight end, and 100-yard receiver all in the same game for the Bears, the Vikings showed what they can be if they're hitting on all cylinders. And this Bears defense wasn't a slouch. So for people like saying like, oh, it's the Bears, is this, they weren't a slouch. Like, they weren't great, I will say that, but they weren't a slouch. Like, we look at points, they were 7th in points. They were 3rd in turnovers. They were 7th in total takes. They had passing defense. They was top 10. So to give up 200-yard receivers in a game, one to TJ Hockenson and one Jordan Addison, the Vikings offense was clipping. Like, people got to give them credit. This defense for the Bears was actually, they were top 15 for total yards. I mean, they were close to the Vikings. Their pass defense is better than the Vikings. As good as we love Brian Flores, the Bears defense was better. So we got to move on to this Gophers quickly, and we'll do that after a word from our sponsors.
We are brought to you today by Game Time. Download the Game Time app and do it now, because this is the best way to get tickets in your area. Game Time Picks is the curation feature that filters out the fluff and shows you only incredible deals. No more games at Huntington Bank Stadium this year. That's too bad, but you can get to Target Center tonight. NBA Cup action for the Timberwolves tonight and Friday. Be in the building. See if the Timberwolves can win their group. Houston's a good basketball team. Be there, and you can get the best deal possible at Game Time. Toggle on the all-in pricing so there's no hidden fees at checkout. Get a panoramic view from your seat, lowest price guarantee, and the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry, all at Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code Locked On for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time.
Speaking of Game Time, I'm excited about this game. You got the Gophers. You got the Badgers. This is a storied game. This game has been one of those games that, like, no matter what the records are, it's going to be a good game. And I look back on, I played the Badgers 4 times. And unfortunately, like, I fell short 3 out of 4. We did my senior year, which is great to say. My senior year, we beat them. We did go to a bowl game because we made some other mistakes that season, but we beat the Badgers. And that's what the Gophers were. Like, we've always done that. I don't know what it is. And maybe this is every school. Like, again, people are so short-sighted to think their school or their team is the only one that deals with this. Imagine the Bears right now. For all the Vikings fans that are so pissed off about stuff that happens, think about the Bears. Like, you lose to the Packers on a field goal block, and then the Vikings block the same spot field goal the next week. Like, the same exact location, the same exact person. That's got to be frustrating. And so when you think about that with the Gophers, we've played down to our opponents sometimes. Like, we lose to Ohio University, and then we go beat Ohio State. Like, how does that work? Like, that doesn't make any sense. How do you lose to Ohio University Bobcats, but then you go beat the Ohio State Buckeyes? Like, it doesn't make any sense, but that's just what it's been. You beat Ohio State, and then you lose to Indiana. Like, and Indiana back then wasn't what they are right now. They weren't the top, 10, 15 team. And so it's extremely frustrating. We lost to Toledo. Like, that year, we lost to Toledo. Like, how do you lose to Toledo? But then you go beat Purdue in Wisconsin. Like, it's just little things like that like, always, like, it bothered us back then. It's going to bother the fans now. We just fans didn't just have social media back then. So we were lucky enough not to have to deal with the cesspool of everybody having an opinion and being able to like throw slander at everybody in the program and mainly the coach. And so heading into playing the Wisconsin Badgers, we had PJ Fleck on the PJ Fleck show this week. And that was the one thing I asked him too. And I'm like, when you look at this team, you know, because the Badgers offense, let's look at their offense. 9th in the Big Ten in total yards, 7th in the Big Ten in run. And that's of course, we know that their run game is always going to be good at Wisconsin. Their offensive line is big. Their defensive line is big. They just aren't getting the best out of it. And this is the year the Gophers, if they beat them, can keep the Badgers out of a bowl game. So not only do you get the axe, you're already bowl eligible, but now you can keep the Badgers from going to a bowl game, which means you can limit their recruiting. They're done getting extra recruiting days and time with their players, like all that stuff, like because they have to go into a dark period of nothingness and just worry about who they're signing, where the Gophers can continue to invite kids to campus. They can continue to have kids come to practice. And so it's just cool of something to do. Also, you shouldn't need any extra motivation to beat the Badgers. And so I know we've had the Ron Dane overtime games. We've had the almost beat them, and then they come back and beat us. Like, it's so many great memories, especially being at Camp Randall with the jump around and all the stuff. So this is a storied game, and I think that's why they put it on Black Friday. One, everybody's going to be sitting around doing nothing on Friday morning besides shopping and, you know, eating breakfast after they just pigged out the day before. I got to work, but I am going to come home to a brunch. I think we're going to do like waffles, fat waffles, of course, because, you know, it's Friday. So you got to do Fat Waffle Friday, but I'm going to add some chicken breasts to it, some deep fried chicken breasts. So I have chicken and waffles with a little bit of bacon, maybe some egg sausage, you know, who knows what. But that's what I'm looking forward to, is just the stories, the memories. And then, of course, we're going to do the postcast. Like, I'm hoping they win this so I can break out my cigar. I can have my drink. And then I'm not going to smoke in the house because I don't smoke in my house. But as soon as the game's over, I'm going to go out to the deck. It's going to be freezing. Maybe I might do the garage, but I don't want my garage smelling like cigar smoke. Go out on the deck with my gloves, smoke a little cigar, have a little drink, and toast to the Gophers because we got the axe and the Badgers are not going to anything. They are going to go home. But I will say this, though, Sam, their run game, that's PJ Fleck brought that up. They have 2 really good running backs, 2 really explosive running backs. And that's going to be the key to stopping this team, is being able to stop the run. I don't know. What are your thoughts after? Because, again, they gave Penn State everything possible they can give them. And now they have to turn around after an emotional loss and then go out and play the Badgers. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I look at the Badgers' results this year, and against almost all of the common opponents, the Gophers performed better. So USC beat Wisconsin by 17. Gophers beat USC. Against Penn State, Wisconsin lost by 15. Gophers lost by 1. Against Iowa, Wisconsin lost by 32. Gophers didn't lose by 32. I think it was about 14 or 17.
And they were leading at half. So
they were leading at half. Yeah, that was actually a tight game until late. The only difference is Rutgers. Wisconsin beat Rutgers by 35, and Rutgers beat Minnesota. But this feels like a classic PJ Fleck, like, bounce back game. I think he's really good at getting his team focused week to week. I don't think he lets losses linger. I think that's one thing he does really, really well with his program. So if Wisconsin loses, Ron, are they going to get the dumb 5-win bowl invite because they had like good grades? Do you think is that going to happen?
I don't think so, because they're not that smart. Like,
right.
I mean, no,
they can't. They couldn't possibly.
I don't think so. Like, I mean, as funny as it sounds, like the Gophers have had a really good, like, academic setup, you know, the culture of Gopher football and the direction it's headed with academics. I just don't know if the Badgers, I forgot what it's even called, but I don't know if they're up there with that number. Like, you have to have a certain number, and then they have to have like I think it has to be like a certain number of teams that are not eligible. Let's see, NCAA football grades, classroom grades. I don't know. Oh, GPA is what it is. And when you think about what they could be doing, the GPA ranking, sorry, is what it is. We won't know until, I think, what is it, Saturday? Because we have to wait for all the games to play out, and then they'll see if the number of teams are. It's funny how, like, when the Gophers are in that, everybody's paying attention. And that's the thing. Like when we needed that, we were all paying attention to it. We don't need it, so we're not paying attention to me. So yeah, academic progress rate is what they go, is the APR football rankings by conference. And so that's what it's called. I couldn't figure out the name of what it's called, but it's the APR. Because right now North Carolina is 1, Clemson is 2, Wake Forest is 3, Louisville is 4, Duke, of course, Stanford, Virginia, of course, NC State, Boston College, Pitt, Florida State, Miami, Cal, Georgia Tech, SMU, Syracuse, and it goes by. They're doing it by conference. So let's see if I go down to the Big.
So you'd have to find all of the 5-win teams.
You'd have to all the 5-win teams right now. APR rankings for 2024 for Big Ten is Ohio State, Northwestern, Michigan. Oh, I'm sorry, Wisconsin. Wisconsin is tied for 3rd with Michigan, and Minnesota is 5th. So I will give them that. I hated on the Wisconsin Badger fans without actually doing my research. So I apologize to the Wisconsin Badgers. I've never had to do that, but I apologize. Your football team is not dumb. So we'll see. But you have to go. Yeah, you have to go with the top of the nation, not just your conference. They are tied for 3rd with Michigan. Their national rank right now is 17th. So they're 17th in the nation. So the Big Ten, they're 3rd in the nation, and then the Gophers. So here's what's weird. They're 3rd. They're 7th in the nation. The Gophers are 9th. So Wisconsin is up there. Michigan and Wisconsin are 7th in the nation. Ohio State is number 1 in the nation. Who would have thought that? Ohio State is number 1. Northwestern, I would have thought for sure is number 3. They're top 3. But Ohio State number 1, I never would have guessed that one right now for APR. But when you look at the academic progress report, I don't know if Wisconsin's going to even if it's going to come down to it. They have enough teams that are bowl eligible. It doesn't matter. Right. They won't need them. And who knows if it's changed now, because now they have 12 teams. So I don't know how that impacts the deal, because now you've taken teams away from bowl games that are now in this, top 12 thing. So again, I don't know how. I literally have no clue how it's going to work this year, because you've taken away 8 teams. Like you've taken away 8 teams from potential bowl games. So I don't know if they're going to put those first games as bowl games, or what that's like. Nobody's really, I guess I haven't researched it yet. I mean, that was my Saturday plan, since the Gophers aren't playing Saturday, was to kind of look into this, because for the Big Ten championship is going to matter now, because that could screw up Oregon. There's a lot to that. So yeah, so I have no idea if Wisconsin gets in, but I do know, I hope they don't. And again, I go back to this. It's stopping the run. When you look at Wisconsin, as far as passing, nothing against them, but I just don't think they're a great passing team. They're 14th in the Big Ten. They've barely thrown for 200 yards a game. And not to say the Gophers have done much better, but the Gophers have had explosive passing games, or Wisconsin's never been known for that. And think about Luke Fickell at Cincinnati. He had recruited for a while before he became a top 4 team. And then he goes to Wisconsin, who's built to run the ball, and he wants to come in and pass the ball, and he doesn't have the horses. And so it is going to take him a year or 2 of transfer portal recruiting to get back to what he had at Cincinnati. And I think that's where a lot of people don't understand, is you don't just go there and create what you had. Like, it doesn't just like start over like, oh yeah, I'm going to come in. I mean, unless you go to like Notre Dame, Alabama, and even look at Kalen DeBoer. Like, he's struggling in Alabama a little bit. I mean, they're still good, but it's not Nick Saban. It takes, like, he had a certain level of, and look at Washington. Like, and again, Penix was the quarterback, but how do you go from that good in the national championship to this bad? And so it's just amazing to me how a coaching change, some player exodus, some seniors leaving can really change the program. Michigan, same thing, national champion. Now look at you. You're barely scraping the barrel. You got players not even wanting to play the rest of the season because they don't feel like it's going anywhere. So it's very interesting. That's why I talk about the sustainability of PJ Fleck and the roll the boat culture, but people don't want to talk about that. Sam, to pay off the tease, because people were asking me this, if the Gophers win, the Gophers will win this game against Wisconsin if Max Brosmer has himself a clean game. He's had a couple plays here and there now where he throws a pick and you're like, who are you looking at? What are you looking at? And why'd you throw it so late? He's had some plays where you're just questioning, why didn't you just get rid of the ball sooner? And PJ said this too. He's like, you know what? Like, when he's playing fast, he's playing fast. He's in flow state. Like he's in the matrix and he's seeing it. He can change the play of the line of scrimmage, and we give him the autonomy to do that. And then there's times where it's like he wants to make the big play and he's not taking the easy play. You know, I talk about that all the time. Sometimes take the easy play. Sam Darnold became victim of that against the Jacksonville Jaguars. There were some easy plays he could have made, and he was trying to jam the ball into Justin Jefferson, and that's why he had 4 picks. Take the easy play. Take the dump off. Take that, you know, and that's my plan today, I think, or tomorrow is to, because I have some free time tomorrow. I have nothing to do. No work, no nothing. I get to just watch film and get ready for Vikings game day, get ready for Gophers game day. And so when I'm looking at the film, I'm actually going back to the Jacksonville game because I want to talk about those interceptions and the guy that was actually open in the all-22. Like Aaron Jones was wide open. And so I think Max Brosmer has to pay attention to that. Early on, take what the defense gives you, allow your weapons to run. Don't try to force it in there and maybe throw a pick or have a tip ball that ends up in interception. If Max Brosmer has a clean game, they win. If he starts throwing picks or he gets sacked, fumbled, or holds on to the ball too long, they are going to have trouble with Wisconsin because that's what Wisconsin feeds off of, is you making mistakes and then they can just slowly run the ball and kill the clock because that's what they've been. They've always been that. And now they have 2 weapons. They do have some receivers. I just don't think they're as good as, I mean, of course, coaches are going to make them seem better than they are. I don't think they're as good as they used to be. Their quarterback isn't as good as I think that you know, some people try to make it out to be. But their running game is still solid. So if the Gophers win, but it's going to come down to Max Brosmer. This is his last game in maroon and go. Well, second, like he has a bowl game, but second to last game. And imagine him, man. You know, coming from the FCS, not playing any nationally televised games, having all these big games, having all these TV games. I mean, Penn State, number 4. Now you're Black Friday, so everybody can watch you because it's a nationally televised game, and then you're going to get to play a nationally televised bowl game, like. This is what college football is about, and that's why I'm glad they added this grad transfer thing a long time ago. Like Russell Wilson benefited from it, you know, going from NC State to Wisconsin. Like it helps guys get into the league. It helps guys get seen on a different stage that maybe people didn't know who they were before. And Max Brosmer is just a new addition to this, where he probably gets a chance to go to not a combine maybe, but like maybe a Senior Bowl, maybe a Shrine game, or at least scouts coming out to watch him to maybe be the next Nick Mullins. You never know. Like he could be a backup to somebody or a 3rd-string quarterback like Jake Browning on a team. And hey, you go into camp and you do your thing. Somebody gets hurt. All of a sudden, you could be Case Keenum. You never know. You never know. And that's why I love college football. But Sam, before we jump over to the Daily 3, it's going to be 3 questions, been about a minute each today. Any last thoughts heading into this Gophers-Badgers game?
Yeah, Wisconsin gives the ball away. Only 2 times this year has Wisconsin won the take give. And one of those games they lost. I mean, they are not prone to playing mistake-free football, and they don't have a turnover-free game all year. So, like you said, if Brosmer plays clean, you're probably going to win the take-give. You're probably going to win the game. I think if the Gophers had won the take-give against Penn State, they win that game. Were they -2 in the take-give against the Nittany Lions? I mean, just a couple too many mistakes.
Yeah,
it was a 1-point game. I think Wisconsin's going to give the ball away to you, so you can take advantage of that.
And it's not even the take give too for the Penn State game. It's also like play calling, like the in the red zone after the big play by Elijah Spencer, and then you decide to throw a tight end or a tackle eligible screen to a 6'8", 335-pound tackle. I just wasn't a fan of the call, but some people are like, oh yeah, like if it happens, then it's a great call. Yeah, true, but I'd rather just go to Daniel Jackson 2 to 3 times or Elijah Spencer. You got Christian Driver. You can run a jet sweep with even. Like, get the ball to your weapons that can make plays. Darius Taylor, split them out. Like, go regular, go big. Bring in all the bigs. Make them think you're going to tush push it to the goal. Like, the Eagles on the 8, remember that, Sam? The Eagles on the 8 with Jason Kelsey would tush push the ball 3 times. That's how effective their tush push was. Is they would get 2 to 3 yards per tush push. And then once they got inside the 9-yard line, if they could not get a first down, I've seen them tush push it 3 times, knowing they're going to get 2 to 3 yards, and you just do the math. 3, 3, 3, touchdown. 2, 2, 3, touchdown. Like that was the Eagles' thought. Or at least you are out there with your bigs now. Now let's motion everybody out, spread everybody out. Now I got Darius Taylor on a linebacker. Come on now. You could not write that. You got Jamison Gears on a linebacker. Like, throw the fade route to your big tight end. Like I would have tried something like that. But again, that's just me. I'm old school and how I try to get mismatches in the red zone. But we got the Daily 3 coming up real quick. We got up the word from our sponsors and a quick pause.
We are brought to you today by FanDuel Sportsbook. New customers right now at America's #1 sportsbook can get the following deal. Bet 5 and get $150 in bonus bets if that $5 bet wins. And I'm telling you, folks, you can get that $5 win fairly easily. I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but if you find a nice money line on NFL action or NBA action, you find a lopsided spread, take that money line, cash in on the $150, and then you've got NBA, NHL, NFL, college basketball, college football, so many wagering options at FanDuel. So when you have that hunch, you can cash it in, whether it's before the game, whether it's the live line available at FanDuel, or looking out into the future with some futures bets. FanDuel.com to join today. Bet 5, get $150 if the $5 bet wins. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
Well, now it's time for the Daily 3. We're going to spend about a minute each day on the questions. Take it away, Sam.
Daniel Jones rumors? Apparently, according to Schefter, Daniel Jones would be interested in joining a contender like the Ravens or the Vikings. And Kevin O'Connell was asked about this, and he didn't say yes, but he also didn't say no when asked about the team signing Daniel Jones. Presumably, this would be a backup role. He'd be replacing Nick Mullins. What do you think of that, Ron? How does that strike you? We just saw Mullins complete a pass on Sunday. We love Nick Mullins.
Yeah, Nick Mullins in the first quarter has a 118 passer rating. He's like second or third in the NFL for first quarter. He's only thrown one pass though in the first quarter, and he was 1 for 1. When you think about Nick Mullins, and I think third down as well, like he's up there because he's 1 for 1 on third downs because that third and 13. So Nick Mullins is having himself a season, but he hasn't gotten much time. Here's where I go with this. Daniel Jones, if it is cheap because the Giants are going to pay the rest of his salary, I'd say fine. Like I would rather, if something happens to Sam Darnold and they are making a playoff run, I'd probably rather have Daniel Jones over Nick Mullins. That's just me. And that's the easy, simple way to say it, just because he's been a starter, he's played playoff games, and Kevin O'Connell is smarter than the Giants organization. So I would trust him to make Daniel Jones better.
Yeah, but what about, Ron, all the talk about learning the offense, right? Like, wouldn't Mullins be so much more adept in Kevin O'Connell's offense? That's because that's always the storyline. So is it fair to say that Daniel Jones could come in and actually know what he's doing? That's
2 words for you. Josh Dobbs. He made Josh Dobbs a superstar in a week. So I don't know.
That is fair. I've got no comeback. How about the moral victory on Sunday for the Timberwolves? They go to Boston, and Naz Reid had a shot to win it, Ron. 107-105. They drew up a look for Naz, hit the front rim, no good. Wolves lose. Are you okay taking a moral victory, though, from that game?
I did say, remember, I was like, I think I said they'd be like 2-1, maybe, or I don't know if I said 3-0. Maybe I did say 3-0, but I said I thought they could shock the world and beat the Boston Celtics. It almost happened. Yeah, I'd say you take that moral victory. Because you look at how Boston has been beating up on everybody else. You got to look at that loss and say, you know what, we are better than we've been playing. If we can play this way every night, we beat the rest of the league.
Yeah, and then tonight they play Houston, another tough game. And I guess we'll see if Mike Conley plays. He's been injured as well. Last one, Eagles on the Sunday night win, moved to a 9-2 record, just like the Vikings. Ron, have the Eagles passed the Vikings in your power rankings?
No, not yet. The Eagles are just making I think, and here's the thing though. I will say the Eagles, Saquon Barkley is starting to really put his stamp on this season. He's really like the craziest thing is the same week they cut Daniel Jones in the Giants after saying like, we got to keep Daniel Jones. Let's let Saquon go. Saquon's our, he's a fan favorite, blah, blah, but we're still going to move on from him and keep Daniel Jones. Saquon Barkley goes out and has the game of his life. Like he's had career rushing numbers right now. He's over 1,300 yards already on the season with 6 to go. Like this man might break the 2,000-yard barrier this season. He had a 255-yard on the ground game, 302 total yards, and then you guys cut Daniel Jones. Like, if I'm the owner of the Giants, I'm watching that Eagles game like, wait, so we cut the guy we kept, and we're watching the guy we could have had absolutely destroy the league this year. And so, yeah, and I get it. Like, there was injuries with Saquon, and so there was a little bit of that. There was a little bit of hesitancy in the Giants' part, but it's like, how did the Eagles figure it out? Maybe the Eagles, like, they do have more weapons. Like, maybe you draft Malik Neighbors, you keep Saquon Barkley, and then you move on from Daniel Jackson, or you draft Jaden Daniels. Like, I mean, there's so many things they could have done and kept Saquon instead of paying Daniel Jones. But again, it's antiquated in their thinking, I think, and that's the problem with this. But yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that in power rankings? I don't think they have moved up. I think the Vikings are still, in my opinion, above them.
Boy, they're winning really convincingly, though. I mean, they're killing teams. They seem to be peaking right now. Hurts and Devontae Smith and AJ Brown and Barkley and Goddard. They got weapons. I think I kind of like the Eagles at the moment. They're maybe the hottest team in the NFL behind the Lions.
Yeah. Well, we'll see this weekend because there's more football. Thanksgiving football. This is when it's fun. You get to sit back and have some food and I cannot wait for some fried chicken, some turkey, some ham. I don't really do ham, though. I'm not going to lie. I know a lot of people love it. I don't really like the ham. I'm not a fan of it, but I do love a good turkey, a good deep fried turkey. And then the next day you get to have turkey sandwiches for breakfast with bacon and eggs. Oh my goodness, it's the best. But make sure you guys check out our Locked On Sports postcast on YouTube following every Twins, Vikings, Gophers, or Wolves game. Luke Inman is broadcasting live with team experts. Never miss a postcast by subscribing to Locked On Sports Minnesota on YouTube. Make sure you go to YouTube, just need an email address, hit subscribe. But hey, it's been the Ron Johnson Show. I'm Ron Johnson. That's Sam Ekstrom. I want you guys to have a great holiday week and weekend. Enjoy and drive safe, people.